In this episode of Momentos Voices, I sit down with Rey Feo 77, Dr. Damaso Oliva. We talked about the importance of education, leading with a servant heart, and the impact of the Rey Feo Scholarship. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Dr. Damaso Oliva, the 77th Rey Feo, thank you so much for being here at Momentos and Voices.
Well, it's my pleasure. We're here to serve. And, as Rey Feo, we're the people's king. So we're going to reach out to the people.
I'm very excited to get to know you more. I know a little bit of your background, but I know that you also do wonderful things for the community even before you were Rey Feo. So I'm very excited to hear your story. And
Sure.
I know that a lot of people hearing this and watching this are going to be motivated and inspired by you. So
Well, thank you.
always, I like to start from the beginning. So tell me a little bit about your background. I know you were born in Cuba.
Right.
Tell me how you eventually got here to San Antonio.
Well, I was born in 1961.
Okay.
So right there, right at the edge of the revolution, it was like 59 to 60.
Yeah.
My parents, what happened to them is my dad was in medical school.
Okay.
The revolution came and the school closed.
Mm.
My mom, which helped them kind of stay together because they were dating, she was the valedictorian of her high school class.
Okay.
And she was supposed to get a scholarship, full ride, to Catholic University of America because she was the Sisters of the Dominican, whereas where she was, studying,
Okay.
had that, reciprocity where they would go to Catholic University, the valedictorian. And so she was really negated her schooling. And so both my parents, due to the revolution, had to really stop, their education.
Yeah.
And then so, we came to this country basically on a Red Cross boat that was done in exchange for the Bay of Pigs prisoners. And so when we got here to the United States, my dad worked odd jobs, did whatever he could, but he wasn't fulfilled, and he knew that there was a ceiling to that. How much can you do with your back?
Yeah.
And so he said, I need to go back and finish my education. So he went to Spain, because being Spanish our native language, he went to Spain.
Okay.
And finished his medical school there. And of course, he brought my mom, myself. And at that point, we had my brother already.
Okay.
So he was born in the United States,
Gotcha.
in Atlanta, Georgia. And so we went there and he finished his education, came back to the States, and started, going through the process of certification and doing his internship. And through that process, we ended up here in San Antonio,
Okay.
where, because he trained here in San Antonio and Austin. So he came to work here, and really we fell in love with San Antonio, the Hispanic community, and its rich culture. And, San Antonio was very warm, welcoming, and we felt at home. And, that was in 1970.
Okay. And what kind of doctor was he?
He was a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist.
I went into the family business,
Yes.
and, he was also Rey Feo. He was Rey Feo 44, and so I'm 77.
That's awesome.
So there is a little bit of lineage there.
That's awesome.
Also. But so that's how we came to San Antonio, and, we basically fell in love with San Antonio, and we've been here since.
And so you went to school here. You grew up here in San Antonio.
Yes. I mean, I went to Mount Sacred Heart, there on Oblate Street or Mount Sacred Heart Drive there by Oblate. And then I went to Antonian High School.
Okay.
And then continued my, education, Catholic education, at St. Mary's. And then I went to Mexico. I went to, University Autónoma de Guadalajara. So the Tecos,
Yes.
for my medical school. And I came back to San Antonio at the Health Science Center and studied and became a psychiatrist at that point.
What made you go to Mexico to study med school over there?
Well, number one was it was difficult here at that time, and I spoke the language.
Mm-hmm.
And really, one of my good friends, he's a doctor also now, Raul Gaona, said, "Hey, come with me. Let's go." And we had another friend of ours, Julio. We all went down there to Guadalajara
Okay.
together from St. Mary's. and we studied there.
And how is that experience for you? I mean,
Well, it was amazing.
yeah,
Guadalajara is a beautiful city.
it is.
Los Altos, el Tapatíos, and
Mm.
all those ojos. And so it was great. It was really easy to assimilate,
Yeah.
right? I actually grew a mustache. I had my Guadalajara mustache,
Nice.
and so you assimilate into the community, and it was just an amazing experience. You almost don't want to come back,
Yeah.
because it was also a simpler life. You know what I mean? It
Right.
was just, you know, we didn't have remotes on the TV. We had to get up and, and change the
Turn it.
channels and everything. And then we would see the Cowboys. They were the Vaqueros,
Nice.
Danielito Blanco was was the quarterback then. So, but it was a great time.
That's wonderful. And your favorite food from Guadalajara?
Oh, I mean, that's where, I started with the enchiladas suizas and
Mm.
and the green chicken enchiladas.
Las tortas
Yeah.
ahogadas.
Oh yeah, those tortas. Oh my God, that you're now you made my mouth water. Yeah.
So, okay, so then you came back to San Antonio, went to UT Health Science Center, and then you
Yes.
started your career as a
Yes, I
psychiatrist.
did. Yeah.
At what point or when did you start getting so involved with the community? I mean, obviously you have a job, a profession that makes you be very involved with the community, but
Yeah.
when did you start
Well, I
becoming?
mean, really early on,
Yeah.
I mean, even before I graduated, I was a school treasurer.
Okay.
You run for things. I was involved in Key Club, service thing. We did food drives, and so my father and mother taught us that from the beginning that we have to always give back.
Okay.
So it was very natural, my first board I served on with another good friend of mine, Renee Escobedo, we on the child abuse prevention board, in the 90s.
Wow.
And we did that. And then I'm also, on the Jaden's Journey board. I'm no longer on the child abuse prevention, but, because this is Child Abuse Prevention Month, by the
Yes.
way.
Yes.
And so, I'm on the Jaden's Journey board where we help kids with disabilities, and provide services for them when needed. I'm on Lone Star National Bank's board. You know what I mean? I'm the chief medical officer at the hospital. I'm on their board.
Yeah.
So, we've always, given back, and throughout, just it's just a way of life,
Right.
we are so blessed, and our job is always to, I feel that it's important to elevate everyone around you.
Yep.
If you, or have friends who are successful, you're going to be
Yeah.
successful.
And so that leads to my next question. I mean, obviously, it's your passion and it's your calling, but you are human. When do you find time to do all these things and be a doctor and be a father and be so involved with the community? How do you manage that time to be able to do everything?
Well, I mean, it is, there's a lot of minutes in the day.
Yeah.
So the thing was, I coached all my kids. My son in baseball and basketball, my daughter soccer, basketball and baseball, and I was always their coach. And so if they played it in the afternoon, I went to the hospital in the morning. They played in the morning, I went to the hospital in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So in their school year age and stuff, you don't do as much community because you're giving back to them.
Right.
And I felt like, being the coach, and, it's like, it's different. Like you're trying to inspire the kids. And, I love baseball. And so I was trying to teach them the love and passion for baseball.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, I think there's different phases in your life and you go in and out of that. Right.
Nice.
And like, I didn't really even, I've been in the consejos, which is the organization that supports Rey Feo.
Okay.
We're councils to the king. I've been in it now 10 years.
Okay.
And that's the time period that I joined when my son was graduating high school, where, now, because we were doing sports and baseball and every weekend in a tournament and all those kind of things that you have to look forward to with your babies,
I know, right?
with your children. And so you dedicate your life to that.
Yeah.
And then this is another phase that enabled me to do more things and really start to give back to, the kids of San Antonio by trying to elevate them through education, right? I mean, I think education is the greatest equalizer that we have,
Yep.
and it creates generational change, right? Because I even spoke to my son the other day is, what were you going to do when you graduated high school? It was just expected he was going to go to college. I mean, it
Yeah.
was no ifs,
Question
ands, or
about it.
buts.
Yeah.
And then he, graduated college. Well, he knew he was going to get a master's. That's what we want for our community.
Right.
We want the Hispanic community or any person who needs, financial support to have that opportunity.
To have that
And that
access.
was really, one of our causes in our whole family. My wife has taught, I teach residents through Incarnate Word to be a psychiatrist. My brother teaches at UTSA. My sister-in-law teaches at St. Mary's. So every one of us in our family, we really believe in education, and education, is something that motivates us. You know what I mean? Going back to like we said about my father and my mother, my mother felt like she didn't get a chance, that she didn't get to go to college. And the weird kind of oxymoron thing is my wife went to Catholic University of America, and that's where she graduated, which is where my mom was supposed to go. And so that lady was supposed to be in my life, and so they have a special bond with that. You know what I mean?
That's wonderful. And so you said you started getting involved with the Consejo for Rey Feo about 10 years ago.
Yes.
How did that come about? How did you, I know you said your father was Rey Feo, so
Yes.
was that kind of how you fell into it?
Well, a good friend of mine that I met at St. Mary's, and we were
Okay.
fraternity brothers. I helped him get into the fraternity, and we were Lambda Chi's at St. Mary's. He said, "Hey, man, and he was kind of after me. You got to join Rey Feo. You got to be, your dad did it, you did it. You love fiesta. You're always at all these fiesta events. Come join." And then so finally, when my son Daniel was going to graduate, I said, "Okay, now it's time.
Now I can do it.
And so, and I joined, and so with your dad being Rey Feo, that's the question everyone asks you: are you going to be Rey Feo? Do you want to be Rey Feo? You know what I mean? And I didn't want it to seem that way, but it was always in the back of my mind.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And how has it been for you to be Rey Feo number 77?
Well, I mean, honestly, it's been amazing. Tremendous, better than I ever envisioned. You know what I mean? As to be a Rey Feo, you have to serve on a court.
Okay.
And the interesting thing, I was the education minister. And so it was very different for me because we have this long, tortuous duty of organizing all the school visits. We went to over 80 school visits. And so when you're doing that, I was more behind the scenes.
Right.
I wasn't coming in and high-fiving the kids and I was lugging in the stuff.
Yeah.
I was bringing in the medals, the sashes, all the stuff. We had a thing where we had a mirror, and I was the one holding the mirror. And so I did all these kind of behind the scenes things. But when you are the face of it, and I actually designed, through his guidance, the king and his wife Abby, that was Larry Kurth. I designed, their thing, the high five and what F meant and stuff like that. So what we did, I did a similar thing with Torch, but then it was my philosophy, it was my beliefs,
Right.
And so it takes it to another level,
right?
And really, get to give your message, and for you to inspire and you to motivate, and that's what we do every day. But to do it on this grand scale is really incredible. I mean, like I said, it's overwhelmed and met such great expectations.
That's wonderful. And so for those people that might be listening or watching us that may not know much about the Rey Feo scholarship and organization, can you kind of explain to us what it is?
Yeah. So, first of all, everyone asks why Rey Feo. You know what I mean? It goes, luckily they told me no estás tan feo. Nada más un poquito feo. But Rey Feo started as a response from the San Antonio community saying we want to be involved in fiesta.
Okay.
We want our own king, and that's why our mantra is the people's king. You know what I mean? And so anybody can be Rey Feo.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There's not it's anybody who wants who's dedicated to raising money for scholarships, and for the kids of San Antonio can be Rey Feo.
Got it.
So that's the beginning that you have to understand. And it came from a tradition from Mexico, which came from Spain. And it's, it was the monarchy had lost touch with the people, and the people rose and said, we want our own king. So they picked Rey Feo so the monarchs would not be upset.
Okay.
And so that's how Rey Feo started.
Okay.
But we, as an organization, and, we've been around since 1947. You know what I mean? And so as an organization, we chose scholarships. We chose education as our platform and as our endeavor to improve the community. What people don't realize is that Fiesta really is not so much as a party, which it is, but it's the platform that launches for 160 organizations and charities to prosper.
Yeah.
And so it's a way to raise money for all these charities that we have in San Antonio, and for them to provide better benefits and services for the community.
Great. And so you are not only participating in Fiesta events during the Fiesta season, which is now,
Yes.
but you're really doing a year's worth of work in the community as well.
Yeah, I mean, we start, as soon as Fiesta's over, 10 days later, we had a fundraiser, and we've been going since, really, it was May 9th. And so since May 9th, we've been raising funds, having, fundraisers, activities, and participating. But probably the last 2 months, we've been doing more Fiesta events, because like one of the nice things that's kind of interesting is as Rey Feo and King Antonio, which is the other king, we also, crown the other royalty, of Fiesta, like, the teen queen, the charro queen, the queen of soul, so all the other queens, our own queen is La Reina de la Feria de las Flores. You know what I mean? And so there's 7 official queens and 2 kings that preside over Fiesta.
Wow, that's wonderful. And tell me a little bit about everything that you're wearing. I know it's very special and very unique to each king.
Yes.
To explain to me a little bit about
Well, we start out with the crown, right?
Yeah.
So every Rey Feo, designs their own crown, right? And so the crown really is an abstraction from my crest.
Okay.
The crest really represents my entire life. So at the top there is a crown, which try to symbolizes this. Like it's more of a imperial crown, and so I wanted to do a little different than a lot of the crowns that have been of late. Some kings did that. So, but in the crest, it has the imperial crown. And also it's a tribute to the consejos, the organization that we come from. Okay. And then so around the crown, there's the olive branches, the olivas, right? Which represents my family. Inside the crown, there's 3, Holy Trinity crosses, which represents our spirituality or my spirituality. Yeah. And then if you go down, there's a little shape of the Alamo. And the Alamo, part of our city, but also there's a letter Psi, which is the Greek letter for psychiatry.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? And so my company's name is Alamo Psychiatric Care, and that's our symbol. Okay. The Alamo with the Psi. And then if you go down is the cathedral, which is right here in front of the crown. And that's where the crown is blessed in October, and where we're crowned in the public, on the first Friday of every fiesta. Wow. So it's a public crowning in the plaza. I love it. Ahí con la gente. You know what I mean? And it's for the people, and it's a public crowning. Okay. And so everyone's welcome to come to that. So then on this side is there's a mariposa, which is the national flower of Cuba, and that represents my parents, Damaso and Ofelia Oliva. I love that. So on the other side is the cabrito, and the cabrito is the highest honor that we can bestow on an individual. Okay. And there's only supposedly like 100 of those given out during the reign. Wow. So then if you go down, you have the caduceus, which is the symbol of medicine, right, of healing. Then you have the schools that I attended. We have, Antonian, St. Mary's, UAG, and the Health Science Center to become a psychiatrist. Okay. So then if you go down, there's 2 bluebonnets. And those are my 2 children that were born here in Texas. Oh, I love. Yeah. And then one of the last parts here is the clada. So everyone in our family wears a clada.
Okay.
And so the hands mean friendship, the heart is love, and the crown is loyalty.
Wow.
So when I met my wife on St. Mary's Street, right here down the street, she was wearing one, and she was an Irish girl. And so the way you wear it tells you if you wear it on your left hand means you're married. If you
Okay.
wear it on your right hand, that means you're just wearing as a friendship ring, or you just like the jewelry,
Okay.
right? And if the heart is facing toward in, that means your heart is taken. If your heart is facing out, that means your heart is available. So I walked up to her. I said, "Hey, are you Irish? Is a clada this and that? Yeah, I guess you're available. Your heart's facing out." And so I was like, that was my introduction, a way I can introduce myself to her. She says, "What does this Cuban boy from Texas
How did you know
know about that?" Well, I like Irish girls. And so, so that thing. So then you come up and you see the two torches,
Okay.
right? And the two torches, a torch means several things. One, it's also the symbol for the National Honor Society as the torch of scholarship and education.
Mhm.
But it also means it's a responsibility. It's someone passing that torch on. My father passed it to me. Every Rey Feo passes it on. And so it's a responsibility, something you carry, something you pass on. But the greatest thing is the flame. The flame, that's what we want to ignite in everyone's heart. And is that flame for curiosity, for learning, for, we want to motivate and inspire the kids of San Antonio for higher education to continue to become the best versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Every person is matters. Every person is unique. Every person is special. We cannot compare ourselves to anyone. But what we want is for you just to be the best version of yourself. You know what I mean? We always say this is if you compare, you'll end up with despair. You know what I mean? Because there's only one you.
Yep.
My poor patients, they say, "Hey, I want to be normal." And I tell them there's no normal because there's only one you and only one special person like you, no one else. And you always good enough. Just believe. If you believe, you will receive. You know what I mean? And so it's about that. It's about inspiring. It's about motivating. It's about trying to elevate, trying to support and help the community through education. And one of the greatest barriers is finances.
Mhm.
So our duty is to raise as much money as we can. And this is one thing that we've learned through this process is the immense need that there is. There's so many people who want to go to school, who want a chance, and
Yes.
sometimes can't through because of the finances.
Right.
We don't want your wallet to be a barrier. We want to help. We want to motivate and inspire people to fulfill their dreams.
And so how does the scholarship work? Do the kids of San Antonio, the students of San Antonio, they have to apply to
They
get the
apply
scholarship?
online
Okay.
to Rey Feo Scholarship Foundation.
Okay.
We also have the Reina Linda Scholarship.
Okay.
We also have La Reina de la Feria de las Flores
There's
Scholarship.
many of them.
Yeah, and so there's 3 scholarships within the Rey Feo Foundation and
Okay.
organization. You know what I mean? And so there's
And anyone can apply.
anyone can apply. There's no
Nice.
inhibit. This year, do thanks to you and other people, we've broken all records. We have 1,500 applicants.
Wow.
It's double the highest previous scholarship. So, that's what we're trying to do is promote. The best thing about the Rey Feo Scholarship, it's for 4 years.
Okay.
It's not a one-time deal. You keep
It's
your
your
GPA
whole-
up every semester. You get a check, and we hand the check to you in the name of the school. You take it to the school and you turn it in.
Nice.
So there's no issues. You know what I mean?
That's
But
wonderful.
I mean, it's an amazing organization. I'm so proud and so honored to just be a representative.
And so again, a similar question to what I asked you earlier, but obviously being Rey Feo is a huge time commitment, right? And
Yes,
you're
yeah.
a doctor.
Yes.
How do you manage that throughout this whole year that you've been Rey Feo? How do you?
Well, I mean, it's the same way when you ask me, right? So I went to an event this morning.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day, I had like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I went to my office, saw some patients, and then came here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Well, we did another interview for Channel 4
Yeah.
and then came to this interview. So, but it's important to me,
Yeah.
so you just have to make time. I have to make time for my patients.
Right.
We talk about to be a good doctor, it takes three things. I call it the 3 A's. You have to be available to your patients, right? And we always have to be amicable and empathetic to our patients. And then they will forgive us if we're not able,
Mhm.
because a lot of times, we're just trying to do our best.
Right.
And especially in psychiatry, right? We don't have a test that says you have this disease or this disorder. No, we're actually, treating signs and symptoms, trying this medication, try this medication until what works for people.
Nice. Wonderful. And then a question that I always like to ask is if anybody watching this wants to kind of follow your footsteps, what advice would you give them? ¿Qué consejo les daría para llegar a donde está usted? What would you tell them?
Bueno, la cosa más importante es seguir su corazón, ¿verdad? Porque uno tiene que tener el amor y ser sincero para poder hacerlo.
Mhm.
Es una pasión, es un deber, y también los padres nos enseñaron que era una obligación ayudar a la gente.
I love that. Can you say that in English as well, just for the people
Yeah.
that
It's an honor, it's a pleasure, it's a passion that has to come from your heart. And when you're able to do that, you do it freely, you do it sincerely. And, it's about, just helping and serving. We're all servants. I tell my patients, you're my boss. I work for you.
yeah,
I'm here to serve you. It's an honor and a privilege that you give me that responsibility, of your care to care for you.
right.
I mean, that's a huge responsibility, and we have to be very grateful to take care of the people who give us that responsibility and be knowledgeable and treat them with the respect that they deserve. You know what I mean? But it has to come sincerely from your heart to serve. You have to have a servant's heart, and so that's what helps.
And that's definitely something you radiate. I mean, barely met you today, but I can definitely tell that you're passionate about this and that your heart is in the right place. Always like to also ask this question. It's kind of like my surprise question that is not a surprise anymore because a lot of people have asked it too. But if you could go back in time and talk to younger self, little Danny,
Damasito.
Damasito, what would you tell Damasito after everything you've learned, everything you've been through, all the opportunities you've had, all the work you've done for the community? What would you tell Damasito?
Well, that's a great question. And actually, I've never had that question said to me. But our mantra is torch. You know what I mean? And so T means try and try again to do your best. So, that's the first thing is that we have to make that attempt.
Yeah.
We have to try. So that's the T. O is to seize opportunities. When you see an opportunity, go for it. Take that chance. R is for respect. Well, you have to respect yourself and respect others always along the way. You know what I mean? And C is choice. You have to make good choices.
Yeah.
You make a bad choice, your whole life can be very different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so make good choices. And then the last one is H. And H is make it happen.
Mm.
And like we always say is si se puede and you can do it. You can do it. You can do anything you want, little Danny, Damasito. Puedes hacer lo que tú quieres, pero tienes que hacerlo con todo tu corazón y todo tu deber.
Me encanta. Muchísimas gracias.
You
Thank
know?
you so much for that. Anything else you would like to share about Rey Feo, about yourself, anything, and any other message for the community that's watching us?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is to be yourself, try to be the best version of yourself. Like we talked about, make good choices, enjoy fiesta, be responsible. You know what I mean? Understand that it's really for you and to help San Antonio get better. And, if you want to help us, you can go to, rayfail77.org and donate. I mean, we need more money. We always can do better. And we want to help elevate and create generational change for the kids of San Antonio. If you can, we'd be very grateful. Thank you to San Antonio. Thank you very much for having us
Of
here
course.
on
Thank
your
you.
show. It's been amazing. Thank you. You're a wonderful host.
Thank
You're,
you.
you're a wonderful lady. So
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. And it doesn't end with fiesta, right? I mean, it keeps going.
Yeah, we're going. I am lucky enough to be king all the way till October.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. We still would be doing some small events. We're actually going to go back to schools
Great.
in August,
Good.
and we're going to try to help areas of schools where you have meet the teacher
Mhm.
that will be there to try to encourage families to come and meet their teachers and try to give them a medal. So we're not finishing. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
We're doing new initiatives that we're starting out with the community and the schools to try to make the best thing is this. And I tell the residents is like, this is your first time ever
Yeah.
when you've chosen to be a psychiatrist, that your education should not be a chore.
Mm.
That's what we want, right? We want education to be something that motivates you, that inspires you, that creates that curiosity for learning, that desire, I mean, I feel learning is lifelong.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. We're still learning. I'm learning new, different vocabularies from some of the young people.
Me too.
You know what I mean? So you're always learning, you're always growing, and you're always trying to be that best version of yourself every day. Because like we talked about comparing, I can't compare myself. I'm 64 years old. I can't compare myself to when I was even 50
Yeah.
or 45. No, it's about today. It's about making choices today and realize that you're good enough today.
Yeah.
That's it. But just take advantage of today.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all the work that you're doing for the community. Muchísimas gracias.
No, aquí estamos para
Te lo
servir.
agradecemos mucho, and we'll be watching you.
All right. Well, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Yes.
Gracias, gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching one more episode of Momentos and Voices. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
So Mariana, as Rey Feo 77, we'd like to give you one of our highest honors, which is our VIP medal. Thank you for having us on your show. Thank you for helping us spread the word of Rey Feo and education.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.